In the steaming jungles of Papua New Guinea, sustained physical effort is almost impossible. Brother James, an Australian of the Passionist order, has not let this fact deter him. Over a period of 8 years, with the assistance of a group of indigenous boys, he has created a thriving cattle project out of virgin jungle. Motivated by a desire to assist and involve these people in improving their environment, Brother James tells how it began.
Whilst moving around to different outstations, I noticed that there were a lot of young fellows just hanging around the villages, more or less at a loose end. I felt we should do something for them. Nothing definite in mind, some sort of establishment where we could give them training. The bishop was all for it. He gave me the go-ahead and we started up here in 1967. We decided on agriculture at Osima because of the closeness to Wanimo. Also, if there's any likelihood of a road coming, it's more likely to be here than one of our stations further inland. It's only 17 miles by air from Wanimo to Osima, but it's an 11-hour walk and a tough one at that. We started off here mainly with planting of crops, and we decided to get 1 or 2 cows, house cows more than anything else. So we walked in from Wanimo, 4 heifers and a young bull. It was 4 days' walk over the mountains, a hard trip really. We had first of all to teach the cattle how to lead, because there was no possibility of just driving them out. This took a couple of weeks of training and walking around Wanimo. When we got them out here, and they did so well on the natural pasture, we decided to go in for cattle in a bigger way. In October of that same year, we brought 16 young heifers from Wewak to Wanimo by ship and kept them in Wanimo for a fortnight, walking them around, teaching them to lead, and then we walked them over the mountains again. Well, since then, we've walked in 40 head of cattle altogether. and we now have a total of 260 head, the remainder being born and raised on the property. Since moving into cattle, we've concentrated on beef for the simple reason, as you can see, that we're surrounded by jungle. So we've had a lot of clearing to do to keep ahead with our pasture. This meant that cattle became a full-time project. We still grow a few vegetables on the side, but cattle is our main concern now. In training young fellows, we started off with 17 in 1967, and I kept those fellows for 4 years before we were ready to get them out on their own blocks. We had to set this place up before we could help them in any way. In 1971, our first 9 trainees moved out onto their own blocks. We now have 28 on their own blocks in this area, and others from the Idaby area who have trained here and are now farming in their own district.
Me look him yard too, he bug it up, this fella post here, but you seen him, man?
Yeah, by me sense.
Yeah, I'm staying finished. No good you lie to me.
Once the local lads graduate, we give them as much help as we possibly can. They have to prove that they are prepared to knuckle down to hard work, and it is hard work, all virgin jungle. They have nothing other than an axe and a bush knife to tackle it with. So we give them assistance. I take the trainees out and we help them with the clearing. It's extremely hard work, this clearing of the jungle, and they have stuck it for 4 years without any returns at all. You've got to admire the way they've persevered at this task. We have chainsaws and a couple of tractors, which we use for dragging logs. We try to set them up with 5 acres of fenced, improved pasture. After that, any improved pasture seed or wire they need, they have to buy for themselves. The mission land is an agricultural lease. The government bought it from the local people, and we lease it from the government. We have a 100-acre lease here. When the students graduate, they go onto their own land or land that they have purchased from the local people. When they have their 5 acres fenced and sown down with pasture, we give each one a heifer. It must be remembered that these people have no means of money and they are virtually starting off with nothing. The graduates have only been on their land since 1971 and are only now starting to turn off steers. So there has been no real income for them up to this stage. Of the 28 fellows that are on their own land, they own a total of 160 head of cattle between them. Some they have bought with loans, some are from natural increase.
We started off here with Australian Illawarra Shorthorn, which were all we could get at the time. But then we had a visit from some stock and station people, McTaggart's in Brisbane. We had a lay missionary working here who mentioned the project to the managing director whom he knew. And when visiting Papua New Guinea, they decided to have a look at our place. 3 weeks after our visitors left, I received a letter saying that they had spoken to Mr. Dunn from Rockhampton, who would like to help improve our stock. Mr. Dunn donated a Brahman bull and 5 Brahman heifers. Then we got another Brahman bull along with 11 Brahman cross heifers, and Father Mike Morrison of Madang helped out with the Brahman bull. So over the years we've culled out our original breeders. We are now running this Brahman cross, which is far better suited to the climate than the straight Illawarra Shorthorn.
The altitude here is 250 feet with an average temperature of 86 degrees Fahrenheit and an annual rainfall of 80 inches. When I first came here, I was rather impressed with the natural pasture, but it wouldn't stand up to constant grazing. We then realised we would have to put down fully improved pastures. Being the first ones in the area, this was a matter of trial and error. We tried several different types of tropical grasses and legumes. The main bulk of our pasture here now is para grass, which is a tropical grass, and centrosema with a Pueraria legume through it. The Passionist Order, of which I'm a member, had a mixed farm at Goulburn, New South Wales. I'd worked there for some time. We ran a few cattle, mainly dairy cows. So really what I've done here is from what I've learned as I've gone along. We have now become a registered vocational school, and now that we are established, the duration of the course is 2 years. Being recognised and registered with the government, grants are obtained for the purchase of equipment and so on. The fellows we take in are standard 6 leavers, the end of primary school in Australia, unlike the first intake, most of whom had no education at all.
You must find him strong fella, DY.
The instruction is all done in pidgin. Unfortunately, there are very few books to help in this kind of work. I work mainly from notes I've compiled myself. It's mostly practical training we do here. We have 2 to 4 periods a week of theory. This covers what the boys are actually doing in practice.
Come on up. Stand up him straight.
We stick to the basic requirements for getting a farm started without going too deeply into the theoretical side of things.
I'll fight him. Little more. Come on. All right, I'm enough now. Now, Casper, you fight him good, huh? Putting on number 1. First one. All right. Now, pull him and go along.
At this stage, there is very little change in the lifestyle of those boys who have graduated. It certainly made a difference in their capacity for work. The boys are fed well here at the school. To do this type of work, it's necessary to have a full belly, and not only a full belly, but food of high protein. So they are fed 3 times a day, which in this area is something that they are not accustomed to. These people are mainly sago eaters. 90% of their diet would be sago, and they would have it only once a day. So this is one of the reasons why you see fellows sitting around in the nearby villages. They haven't got the energy to do anything. The fellows that have done training with me are very seldom idle. Even on a weekend, you'll see them out working in their gardens or some such thing. Now that we are slaughtering, there's a lot of waste like bones. These are given to the village people and the school children who are on the mission station. Even this small amount of meat has made a noticeable difference in their physical condition. As the herd built up, we had to think of facilities for slaughtering. This slaughterhouse had to meet government regulations, which it does, and we are now supplying meat to the missions, and we have a surplus which we sell to the local market. 2 trainees went from here to do a course in slaughtering. One followed this up with a course in butchering. At the moment, we are better off than the producer in Australia. The finished product, butchered and packed, is selling to the local market for 60 cents a pound. The producer is getting 35 cents a pound on the hook. We haven't slaughtered that many as yet.
How much is it? 20.
Anything which will not fit into a light aircraft has to be carried out here from Wanimo. It's an 11-hour straight walk, and carrying anything big can take 3 to 4 days. I bought this tractor from the government by tendering. I offered $50. I hadn't seen it, so I didn't really know what I was buying. Anyhow, we won the tender. I flew across to the government station, which is only 6 minutes flight from here, I guess about 12 miles. And when I inspected the tractor, I found it was in going order. I decided it would be best if we could bring it across overland rather than strip it down and fly it in. Being an old tractor, I thought stripping it down could offer some problems. So I set off with 35 boys and we brought the tractor overland. Now we've got 2 tractors here, and some people think, oh, a big deal, so what, a couple of tractors? But when you realise just what has gone into getting these tractors here, they really mean a lot to us.
Yeah, all the village people are not used to hard work. I myself like to be on the go, although I don't think I'm really a hard worker. I get a lot done because I've got the boys behind me. It's really the boys who do that work, and I do the organising.
Here, push him. Push him up. Oh! Push him up. Here, here, come back here. Push him up. Push him up. Push him up. That'll do. Come behind!
Recently, we started off one of these, what they call digester units, which is recycling of waste matter. Whilst used in other countries, it's fairly new to Papua New Guinea. We have put in permanent toilets and incorporated it with one of these digester units. From the recycling of human waste, algae is grown, and this algae will be fed to the stock. To start off with, we'll be feeding ducks. As it develops, we hope to branch out to pigs, and we'll also be growing fish for the school children. And the gas we'll produce from the digester unit we'll use for the lighting and cooking. I try to find out as much as I can about the boys' own customs. The longer one is up here, the more one realises how little he knows these people. And the only way of getting to know them is by sitting down and talking. Of course, talking or telling stories is their main pastime, as there is nothing else for them to do at night. In their villages, they have no lights, no television. Maybe 1 or 2 in the village would have a radio, and they don't know books. So what they do is they sit down and talk. They talk about what they've done that day or something that has happened in the past, their hunting experiences and so on. And this is when you, if you sit down at these talking sessions, learn a lot about their customs and beliefs.
Drink, go, bell blang slap. Now, and pass him lip lang has blang. I'm not long part. I'm sleep the so long ground. And now I'm blue white long pato. I'm going to Anwar and I'm benim. Come. Take a piece. Walk by the come, kana bone slap. Man sleep here. And now let toss him sleep here long after the man. What I sleep.
Religion is not forced upon the students. I do have one period a week in religious instruction, but I feel that example is the best teacher. I think we are getting somewhere. 15 to 20 boys attend daily mass, which is completely voluntary.
Happy old man, Mary, God is sing happy more, long to the grave and long begging. Mary died for me, body belong, praise. 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 Body belong, praise.
This year, I have had 2 lads who have applied to become brothers, Sacred Heart Brothers at Wewak. So I feel that we are making some progress in this direction.
Next Sunday night, Challenge talks to the famous recording artists, the Osmond family.